Hi, everyone. Here, let's adjust this a little bit, shall we? There we go. Hello. Welcome to the ThermoStream. Get some water here. Today, so after some votes, I think there was some confusion with what I meant by leg armor, but I can talk through it anyways, so it's okay. But I did finish the gold skirt. I just need to add the snaps, and I don't want to add the snaps to it until I've added the purple skirt to it because I'm going to have a single waistband. I decided that I wasn't going to do 2 separate waistbands and bulk up my midsection like I do for other conventions. Instead, I'm going to have 1 waistband. That's why I used the Cosbond reinforcer on this skirt to make sure that the mesh could bear the weight of this skirt and the other skirt. And I will be adding in more stuff in here too. So I still have to make some improvements to how I sewed the gold skirt, but it's a gold skirt and it works. And it's on my mannequin, albeit with clips right now because I don't have snaps, but that's okay. And then this is the fabric that I'll be using for the skirt that's going over it. Hello, Chris. Thank you for joining us on the stream. So today, based on the comments that I had on the ThermoCosplay Facebook page, I will be discussing how I'm going to do Tamatoa's leg armor. So this is going to be interesting. Yeah, I wonder if I can do a screen share on my phone. I don't think I can. Okay. No, kitty cat. I think I want to kick my cat. Give me 1 second. I need to kick my cat out. He is trying to break in and knock over the camera. No, buddy, I love you. Goodbye. Goodbye, little boy. Here. He's going to say goodbye, guys. Bye, I'm Zeke, and I'm making a mess. Go on. Go on, little handsome. Here, boy. Yeah, cats. You know, he came up and he like hit the camera, and I'm like, he's going to knock this over because he's knocked it over before. So I needed to change that. But, yeah. Okay. So we'll give some people some time to join. And look at this. Look how sparkly this is. Sparkly. So sparkly. It's just, I think I'm going to be covered in glitter when I wear Tamatoa. Oh well. Just be glitter and gold coins everywhere. So actually, I need to move this fabric because what I wanted to talk about today is with Tamatoa for his legs. What I mean by leg armor for Tamatoa is I'm going to have legs hanging off of my skirts that kind of swing. Only they're not going to be attached to the skirt. I think I'll attach them to the corset because I need to keep as much weight off the skirt as I can. I'm already going to have 2 skirts sewn to a single waistband. So I'm concerned about like the strength of everything. But as I drop more gold coins all over my room, let's talk a little bit about like how I plan on keeping the leg. My pants are falling out. What is going on with me today? Okay. So I'm pulling this out because I have a bench here that has some materials that I need for Tamatoa's legs. Okay. Where are they? There we go. All right. So welcome everybody for joining. Thank you for joining. Today we're talking about leg armor and how to keep it on and what kind of leg armor I'm doing for Tamatoa, which is going to be a little bit different than people thinking that it's attached to the legs. Now, I can talk about how to keep armor attached to the legs. If you guys have questions, please let me know. But for Tamatoa's legs, I'm going to be using foam and covering it in fabric. So I have my mannequin out because I'm going to show you how I plan to measure out the leg armor. And apparently it keeps spilling all of these gold coins everywhere. You need to get like a little baggie for them. Just got gold coins everywhere, guys. All the time for the rest of my life, gold coins. I think this is good to keep the extras though, because I think I'm going to lose coins as I wear the skirt. But, wow, they just really want to escape. Let's talk about leg armor. What do you think is the most difficult thing with leg armor? For me, it's when I put the leg like on the inside of my legs and it like rubs together. That irritates me. So I usually don't allow my leg armor to do that. I usually rotate it out to where there's like a cut curve down so that my legs have separation. Otherwise, it gets really annoying. But yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. Last time we were here, we were sewing a skirt, and the skirt's done. And I used the Cosmon reinforcer, and I actually took better video and photos today so that I can do a quick tutorial on the page today. Hello, Victoria. Thank you for joining. Guys, my room's gonna be covered in gold coins. I get that. I don't have the grip to grab these. I'm just gonna tell all of you, never use this gold coin fabric. If you want gold coins, just get printed coin fabric because this is so difficult to work with and you lose coins even when you're like really careful with the fabric. So the fact that I'm gonna have another skirt over that skirt, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Skirt nonsense. Okay. Yay! Now I can have my stuff back. I'll probably find more later. But I don't want to focus on the coins. What I want to focus on is talking about armor, right? I keep saying that and haven't done it. So let me go get the foam. Okay. Should be. Yeah. All right, so I have a little collection here because when I'm doing Tamatoa's legs, I'm going to be using craft foam. I'm going to, and it's a thicker thickness. And then I'm going to be padding the craft foam using Cosbond attachment bond with this furniture foam, this new foam. It has a little bit of flex, but it's really good for stability. And I have my rulers. I don't need my level, but I use it as a ruler. nice when you just want it to stay up. You're trying to like measure something on the side. Rulers are good. I have a utility knife. This is the Stanley one that you can snap off. You can also buy ones that you can sharpen. That works too. These are my foam scissors. Always make sure when you have scissors that you have a pair for fabric and a pair for foam. You don't want to use your fabric scissors on your foam. Not good. Actually, I think I have another pair of scissors somewhere. I think I'm just going to use these ones because they're getting bad. Like, I've used them on a lot of vinyl, and so they're starting to get really dull, even with sharpening. So I think I'm just going to buy a new pair of heavy-duty scissors for fabric. And these are now my new foam scissors because I believe my other foam scissors broke. I don't think I know where they are. Actually, yeah, I think my other foam scissors broke. Oh well. Okay. Found it. One pair at least. I have a sharpener for these. You will need sharpeners for foam scissors, or you'll need to buy scissors a little too often. Up to you guys. Okay. So, the reinforcers. These are the reinforcers. What I need is the attach and bond, which is right here. Okay. I might reinforce the skirt some more since I didn't realize I had enough reinforcer to do more reinforcing. All right, so real quick, let's talk about keeping armor on the body. If you're wanting to keep armor on your body, there's a couple different methods of doing it. Most people will use snaps or attachments. My preference, on the other hand, are using pieces of elastic, vinyl webbing, or magnets. So, let's bring all this out. This is just going to be a party here, guys. All right, so now we've got all the supplies. We're going to walk through how we're going to do the foam armor. Okay. So usually, and I just bought some too, but what I have too is in order to make sure the armor fits me, I actually have saran wrap, and then I have painter's tape. You can use duct tape, but I prefer painter's tape because I can just pull off little pieces, and it's easier to draw on. Duct tape has a bad habit of when you draw on it with markers, if you don't let the marker dry long enough, it'll smear, and that can mess up like measurements that you need to be very, very specific with. So I prefer painter's tape because it has a matte surface and it's a lot easier to draw on. Plus it's easier to tear. Duct tape is not that easy to tear. So I have saran wrap and painter's tape. You can either do this on yourself, or in my case, I have a mannequin and her legs are nearly identical to mine. So all I have to do is add like an additional like ½ inch on my thigh. But her calves are identical to mine, her knees are identical to mine, and the length of her legs is nearly identical. I think it's like 1/4 of an inch long, which I don't mind there being a little bit extra length, so that's fine. But when you're making leg armor, you really have to consider your body proportions. So if you're going to be one of those people that you're like, okay, well, I don't want to make my own pattern, I don't want to use saran wrap to wrap myself, and I don't want to use the painter's tape, that's fine. There are people like Punished Props or Community Cosplay or Lightning Cosplay or Evil Ted. They all sell patterns, and you can modify those. Just understand that it's not going to be your exact measurements, so you need to take your own measurements. So the one thing you must do when you have armor is you must have a measuring tape. Ruler will not count. You have to have a ruler that's flexible, which is a measuring tape. I've seen people try to use like these, and they put it on their arm and they're like, this is how many inches it is. That doesn't work with armor that's going to be around a 3D object. This works for flat objects or for a pattern that you've already made and you just need to glue together. But like for Tamatoa's legs, where I'm just going to have them hanging off my skirt, that works for that kind of armor. But any armor that needs to curve or go around your body, you need to have a measuring tape, a flexible form of measuring. You can also, if you're going to, the best thing of advice, honestly, is see how these foams, I'm going to show you, they have different thicknesses. So this one's really thick. So this one is a 6mm. Sorry, wait. Yeah, 2 of these are 4mm and 1 of them is 2mm. So I don't know if you can see that, but I've got different thicknesses of foam rolled up together. And when you have different foam thicknesses, it's also really advisable to take a piece of foam, lay it out flat, cut out a ruler, measure it using one of these rulers, like a yardstick or just a standard ruler, and then you can wrap the foam around your arm and use that to figure out how large, like how rounded you need it to be, because using the foam as a ruler ensures that the thickness of the foam isn't going to mess up with your pattern. So that's another way to do it. But I've talked a lot. If you have any questions about making foam armor, let me know. But right now I'm going to get into attaching it because most people have figured out how to make the armor, but then they go into the problem of, well, how do I keep it on my body? And for like shoulder armor, you can have snaps or Velcro. It's pretty easy. But with leg armor, you need something that's a bit more durable. So what I like to do is on my actual fabric. This is, I don't know if you can see this. Let me get this out of the light. There we go. So on my actual fabric, I like to sew washers. And then from those washers, I like to use neodymium magnets, which I'm not going to put closer to my phone because that is a bad idea. But neodymium magnets will be glued onto the armor pieces, and then a washer is sewn onto the fabric. And then all I have to do is put the armor in the general spot and it just latches on and it does a let go. So that's my favorite way of making sure that armor is attached to legs or the body. And that's honestly how I'm probably going to do Tamatoa, is I'm going to sew a washer into the pocket, into like a hidden pocket on the corset. And I'll have to do more than one washer. And I'm going to have the larger neodymium magnets, which unfortunately I'm out of right now, so I got to order them. But I'm going to do a larger neodymium magnet, and I'm going to snap it on. So this is what I mean. Like, you don't have to get it very close before it just kind of, so I'm going to figure this out. But see, it's like, whoop, and now it will not let go. So that's the best thing to do for attaching armor. But if you don't want magnets, or say you're going to store your phone or electronic object near where your armor attachment's going to be, then yeah, you may not want to use magnets. Instead, what you could use is vinyl webbing. So this is vinyl webbing. It's just stuff you see on bike helmets and backpacks. And what I like to do for those, if I'm going to do attachments with vinyl webbing, typically I'm then going to grab, I have a lot of stuff in here, so I hope it's in here. I'm going to grab a D-ring. I have D-rings in here somewhere. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm out of D-rings. But I like to use D-rings too. Oh, look, I found more washers, guys. I figured out where all my washers are. Cool. Yay! Yeah, so you can use the big washers, or you can use washers like this that are a little bit fatter, have more grip for the magnet, like those ones. But if you don't want to use magnets to put your armor on, here we are. You can use D-rings. Yay! Oh gosh, the reflection is brutal today. D-rings. D-rings. Hello. Hello! So D-rings is another way that I like to attach armor. For Tamatoa, I'll probably use the magnet method just so I can hide the washers inside. Yes, it is nylon webbing. I said vinyl, didn't I? Whatever. It's nylon webbing. It's fine. Let's see here. I have more D-rings. Here we go. So here are my D-rings. And this is another great way to do armor. What you can do is you can put a D-ring onto like your clothing or your fabric or whatever you're wearing underneath your armor. Please do not do bare skin contact to foam. And bare skin contact to foam ends up making things bad. So what I like to do is have it on fabric, sew in a D-ring, and then you can feed the webbing through and you'll have something hanging off of you. And that way you can just snap the armor onto that, or you can have it, the vinyl, nylon, what did you say vinyl? The nylon webbing can be attached to snaps or Velcro or lots of things, but feeding it through means you have some movement. That is one thing when attaching armor to the body that you want to think of. You're going to understand that you need some form of movement, otherwise it could snap off easier and break. Yes, I am talking about costumes. So we're talking about attaching armor to costumes. That is the tricky thing. There's lots of options to do it. You can use D-rings and magnets, Velcro, snaps. So that's what we're talking about. Let's see here. You can also use buttons. I have seen people use buttons where they create like a little loop with foam and they put it over a button, but that can have potential failure. So I just am going to advise, do not permanently glue any armor pieces to your clothing, because then you can't wash your clothing, and you want to be able to wash your clothing. That's very important with costumes. You must be able to wash your clothing. So, okay. So I know that I'm going to use magnets and snaps. So when I talk about snaps, most people think of like the little tiny ones, like these. These are not what I'm talking about. These are too small for armor, unless it's a really, really itty bitty piece of armor. When I'm talking about snaps, I'm talking about much bigger button snaps. And I'm trying to see if I have any left. I'm waiting on some delivery of things, but I thought I did have snap left. This is what happens when you have too many costume supplies. Yay, costume supplies. I do have snaps. Okay. So, when I talk about snaps, I'm talking about really, really big snaps. Those work best. Yes, there you go. All right, bye. Thank you for coming. Have a good sleep. Rest is important. Rest over streaming. If it's 12:30 a.m., yes, you need rest. Okay. Now, you can also use Velcro to attach things. There's nothing wrong with Velcro. Sometimes I have problems with it catching on special fabrics that can cause fraying. So I only use Velcro in very specific circumstances with fabrics that I know aren't going to fall apart with it. And the Velcro I like to use is double-sided. That's my preference, because then I don't have to worry about lining up all the sides. I just cut it however length I want. And you can also use sticky Velcro. Oh, you can use sticky Velcro. But here in Arizona, sticky Velcro doesn't always do so well because of our heat. So usually it's best to glue Velcro on with some kind of contact cement, or you can use the Cause Bond Attach and Bond, which I will be using. Goodbye, thank you. Gosh, I have so many supplies that I'm trying to show you guys. There's just too much. Here. I seem to be missing my Velcro. It's fine. This is what happens when you have too many supplies that you're trying to bring out and show the world. Just like, look at my supplies, world. They're everywhere. Everywhere supplies. So, if you guys have any questions or you want me to talk about something specific with armor, please ask that question or please tell me. So far, we've talked about attaching armor using washers and sewing them onto fabric and then attaching it with magnets. You can use Velcro, you can use nylon webbing and D-rings. You can use really large snaps, which is what I like to do. You can also use, you know, pins. You have like button pins. You can get large button pins too, and you can sew those into or glue them onto foam, and you could just pin the fabric into place too. That's completely possible. For some pieces too, where you need it to have stretch and you need it to snap, I actually use a bra strap snap. I wonder if I can show this with a light. Oh, gosh. This light's being a problem. Hang on. I'm gonna turn it off for a second. There we go. So, actually, I don't think I need the light. Maybe I do. I don't know. I do. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna lower it though. There. But I like to use the bra straps too. Those are really good for armor that you need to like go across here and attach places, but still have give for movement. So, very useful. Let's see here. You can also use a zipper. I know some people have used zippers where they glued zippers onto their foam and then like a jacket zipper that separates, a separating zipper, and then they zip themselves in and out of it. That is also a fine way to create strapping and attachment for armor. I will find my Velcro, guys. I will find it. It has disappeared into the land of Oz. So I will find it. But for my Tamatoa armor, let's just talk about that specifically. So Tamatoa's armor is just going to be, and I'll post a picture for reference so people can see what I'm talking about. But it's going to be 4 long legs, and they'll be attached like his little, he had like little claws, right? So it's gonna look like a crab leg hanging off of the front part of my skirt. So there'll be 2 in the front of my hip and 2 on the side, so that when I move, they kind of swing. And I'm going to use the foam instead of interfacing, so that I can also glue the bigger furniture foam onto it and create more bulk. And then instead of painting all of it, I'm going to cover my legs, my crab leg armor, with spandex that has like an ombre color and airbrush it a little bit. And to keep the fabric in place, I plan on using the Cosbond attachment bond. So I'll put it on one section just so I can keep the fabric in place to create the pattern. Then I'll be sewing the edges and then slipping the foam through like a sleeve. So there's going to be a lot of use of attachment bond for Cosbond because I'm trying to move away from contact cement. It's quite toxic. You have to prepare it a certain way. You have to wait for it to dry, and it takes so much work that I'm not overly fond of it. So I'm trying to move away from it. That's my goal, is to move away from using contact cement and to use Cosbond more often. So I think I know where the rest of the stuff I'm looking for is. Oh, my spring broke on my, so I'll close it and I'll lock it and it opens back up. Because my spring broke. Hi, Mark. Okay. I'm trying to find stuff. I have supplies everywhere. This is my money bag. My money bag supply bag. And It's entirely possible that I threw my Velcro in here, although I don't think I did. I may have just ordered more Velcro and forgot about it. I do that quite often, actually. But, see here. I'll show this to you guys because it's really cool. There we go. So, I received gifts from the cosplay pros that I'll be using for Tamatoa. I have some packages of foam bevels. I have more stickers. Stickers! Yay! I do have some contact cement because mine went bad and it's always good to have as a backup. And this is the contact cement that I use, which is the Weldwood original contact cement. I also have these silicone molds. The cool thing about silicone molds is you can press foam clay into them and you can create detailing, let the foam clay dry and pull it off, and then you don't have to worry about trying to hand sculpt or cut detailing for armor. So foam clay and silicone molds are super, super useful. It's amazing. It's fantastic. So those are more supplies that I have for other costumes because I have so many supplies everywhere, but I can't seem to find my Velcro. I think I might be out of Velcro, guys. I think I'm out of Velcro. No! That is actually one other way to attach leg armor. You know what I can show you guys is I already have some leg armor. Would you guys like to see my leg armor that I have? And I can show you how I attach it. Just let me know and I can break it out of its closet right now. Well, I reorganized this real fast. Oh, one thing I'll let you guys in on because, you know, why not? So for Tamatoa, I have something called gem tack glue because I will be gluing close to 1,000 gems onto the skirt and armor. Painful. It's gonna hurt. I've never bedazzled anything before. It's weird, right? I'm a cosplayer and I've never bedazzled anything. Okay. I will go grab that armor and show you guys how I keep it on. Because that is one question I get a lot. Apparently I make my armor look effortless. It's not. It's not effortless, guys. I appreciate it, but it's not. Okay. I know where the leg armor is. So I'll be right back. I'll grab that leg armor. Okay. Actually, I forgot that I moved it right here. So let's grab the leg armor. I moved it here thinking about you guys and just forgot. I have so many benches with just storage in them, but I have an Amazon. And she has like, so let me pull this out. Okay. So this armor goes on the knees. Hey, what's that? Goes on my knees, right? And for this, what I've done was I needed some flex. So I took really thick 6mm foam. Sorry, 4mm? No, this is 6. This is 6mm foam. And then I took craft foam in between because craft foam has flex, and I used a flexible paint so that when I move, this moves too, and I don't accidentally just rip them apart. So that was one way when putting leg armor on. Make sure you have some flex. So you take a really thick piece of foam, you know, make that be your primary piece, and then you can add like a really thin piece of foam, just kind of in between the layers, right here, and you can use it, you know, you can hide it behind. I wanted it to be in the front to create another interesting element, but you could just have two pieces in between and allow it to flex. Also, I have not, this is a really old foam. I've taken really good care of it, so it still works quite well. But these are the anti-fatigue floor mats. I no longer use them anymore because I use real EVA foam from the Cosplay Pros, which is a lot better to use and easier to work with. This requires so much priming to paint. It's a lot of work. But what I did for this one was I took pieces of 3mm foam, real EVA foam, which obviously this is a new repair. I have yet to paint it, so this is something new that I did when I realized I need to improve my leg armor. And I added D-rings to the sides here. So I contact cement glued in here, and it's tough. It does not come apart. Because I've gotten this leg armor caught on a cactus, and this ripped off. So I had to glue this back on. Oh, look, it ripped off again. But that's okay. This ripped off, but these did not come off. These did not come off. So my D-rings were there for life. It was my poor little knee thing that was like, I'm gone in the cacti. But for attachment, what I do is I have industrial elastic. So this is the really tough elastic that you don't necessarily want to use. It's not soft elastic. It's not really, it's closer to what you use in like waistbands and shoes or something that needs a lot more, that needs to flex, but needs strength and won't tear easily. So this is really, really tough, ribbed elastic. And what I've done is I've sewn Velcro onto it. And what I do is I wrap the elastic behind my leg, and then I take this and I Velcro it on. So that way, as I'm moving, this can flex with it. And when I'm jumping and running and my calves flex, I'm not ripping anything off. So you can use elastic or you can use nylon webbing, but I prefer elastic. Yes, it takes a bit more treatment, and yes, if you have a specific color, you will either have to order custom elastic or you will have to hide the elastic underneath a boot, like maybe cut a slit in it and slide the elastic through so that no one can see it. Another option is to paint it with fabric paint, and then it has the color of whatever armor you want it to have. But for my Amazon, you actually see some of, like in the movie and stuff, you see some of the black strapping for their armor, and it's meant to be leather strapping. And I didn't think it was going to be like, people aren't ever like up on my calves. So in photos, you don't notice this as much. It just looks like leather strapping up against the back of my suede boots. But if you are too concerned about that, you can just use bits and pieces of your existing fabric, or you can, I prefer to cut a slit in my leg armor or my pants and to sew that slit, strengthen it, reinforce it, and then I slide whatever attachments I have through that slit to hide how it's attached. But if you're going to do that, instead of using elastic, just sew washers into your clothing and magnetize them, because that's so much more work to cut slits and slide stuff through than to take like a heavy duty washer, sew it on, grab a neodymium magnet, boom, you're attached. So I would suggest that instead. But this is how I do my armor. And like I said, I always, like, this was new for me to figure out, is using a more flexible piece of foam in between. So I can drink some water so that I wouldn't rip my armor. But for those of you who maybe are using Worbla instead of foam, just consider that you're going to have possible chipping or cracking if you're landing or moving a lot with your armor. With Warbler, I always suggest any area of high friction. You have, like, if you're gonna wear Warbler in an area that has like movement like here, do not have the Warbler on the joint. Have it on any place where there's not a joint. And if you have to have it look like it's being attached, like it needs to be a full arm, like for instance, the Winter Soldier, you could make the top part and bottom part out of Warbler, and then the center, I'd suggest some sort of silver spandex, or you can use foam and do it in layers, like you've ribbed it basically. And that way, when you move, the craft foam will flex or the spandex will flex, but the Warbler won't break, because it doesn't, any sort of armor that is hardened like a resin or a thermoplastic, you're going to break it in any joint area if you put it there. Or you're going to make it to where you walk around like a zombie because you can't move. So always have some form of flexibility. Again, that's why I like to use magnets and washers so much. Like if you were making a Winter Soldier arm, right? Or you're making like a cybernetic leg, make the whole leg out of stretch fabric, right? So say you want to look like a robot. So get some silver spandex pants, pull them on, grab some fabric paint, paint on the designs of the cybernetics, right? Let it dry for 24 hours. Then make your armor and use Velcro, snaps, or washers and magnets to slide it on and snap on. Because then all you have to do is slide it off. I like washers and magnets because all I have to do is slide it off. The magnet's on the armor, not on my clothing. And then I can wash my clothing, bring it back, and I know my armor's clean because it never touched my skin. I know my clothing's clean because I washed it. So washers and magnets are your best friends. Also, word of advice, when you buy a washer, make sure it's magnetic, because some of them don't always like to stick. But I have two different kinds of washers. I'm going to turn off my light to show you guys what I mean by that. So I have these washers, which are thicker and they have more grips. So if you're not sure if your magnet's big enough, it doesn't matter because there's so much real estate for it to adhere to. Or if you do have a large neodymium magnet, or you're using a magnet that is pretty strong and you're concerned about it, I would just go with like the really wide open washers that you see here. But washers and neodymium magnets are quite possibly the best way to attach any sort of leg armor or upper body armor, anything that's going to have motion that you just need to slide on and snap. Because the thing is even if say you're making a bracer or a shin guard, right? Like say for instance, this was completely attached and it was like a little hole like this. If I slid it on and it had too much give, it would just keep rotating. But if I slid it on and I had just one little magnet in the front, right? And I had a washer sewn onto my clothing, it would stay right there. So they're probably the best way, but you can just add, like what I've done here, where you can add elastic and Velcro and D-rings, and you can attach it there. Just understand that if you don't have this fit is exact on me. So it's exactly above my calf and right below it, and it fits perfectly, and I had to measure it very carefully. But this fits perfectly, so it does not rotate. If you do not measure perfectly or you're concerned about that, I would go with the magnet method or the snap method, add snaps. But if you're absolutely certain your measurements are perfect, then you can just do the nylon webbing and elastic and Velcro, because then it won't rotate. It'll just sit exactly like this. Fits the curve of my leg perfectly. And then the flex that I have here makes sure that I have no rotation. And that's my little lesson on attaching armor to your legs. The end. If you have questions, please ask them. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking like I always do. I mean, I guess I can show you guys this. It's not that heavy. See, it's my armor bin. And it's a bench. All of my seating, all of it has storage in it, built into it in some way. Oh, I almost forgot to put this away. I really need to recast that. I keep breaking it. Because I'm clumsy. Okay, I see questions. Okay, bye, Chris. Thank you for watching. And no problem, Mark. If you guys do have questions, say you want to create a very unusual attachment to your body using armor, and you have questions, please just message ThermoCosplay@gmail.com or message us on Facebook or Instagram. I will answer to the best of my ability. I've done a lot of research, so I actually know too much about armor strapping because I have broken it so many times. Like when I did my Yojimbo, which I would love to show you guys my Yojimbo, and this would help so much with strapping because I used so many magnets in Yojimbo, but it's sort of in a museum. So if you watch the Tempe History Museum Video Invaders exhibit and their video, you're going to see a cosplay there, and that is mine. I don't know when I'm going to get it back. That's okay because I don't have anywhere to wear it to. But I miss Yojimbo a little bit because Yojimbo was the first costume where I started innovating how I was going to attach things after lots of research. Because Yojimbo, with the armor and fabric combined, weighs I think 12 or 13 pounds. So I really had to consider how I was going to keep everything on my body and also adjust the weight so that I wouldn't exhaust myself. Because 12 or 13, like 13 extra pounds. It's fun. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Cosplay Pros, by the way, they are a local Arizona supplier. They are awesome. And I really love their stuff. Like, they have high quality stuff. I really like their foam bevels. So I know that Yaya Han sells foam bevels at like Michael's or Joann's, but sometimes I have problems with the way that they deliver. Like they don't always temperature control the foam, and so sometimes the foam bevels are brittle. I've never had that problem with the Cosplay Pros, and their foam bevels are like really sturdy. And I've been really aggressive with them, and they work out quite well. So I highly recommend them. And then if you haven't had a chance to play with the Cosbond materials, I'm going to suggest checking out their pages. Check out their pages and interact with them. They quite frequently give away what's called Cosbond Health Packs for free to people who interact with their content. So I suggest checking them out. I have really rather enjoyed using their products so far. I used it. I'm going to actually this afternoon to be editing the video and the work in progress for Tamatoa, but I just did the reinforcer for the skirt that I have over there, and I still have to add a little bit more because I'm adding one more layer of skirt to this mesh, so I was kind of concerned about its durability. But I'm going to add one more layer and then show you guys how it's basically like sticky fabric interfacing. So for Tamatoa, his skirts, like I can't actually use iron on interfacing because the fabric that I have is very sensitive to ironing. So for the gold coin skirt, I can't iron it. And for the spandex that has glitter on it, I can steam it to get any wrinkles out of it. But ironing it could potentially, like even on a low setting, like if I have wax paper, it's fine. But it can compromise the fabric. So I had to come up with a way of creating more interfacing inside of the waistband. It had some give, and I didn't want to sew too much on since I was going to be adding so much already there. And the Cosbond reinforcer was the best solution, and so far it's worked. It's actually stabilized the mesh on that skirt, and I haven't had any problems thus far. And I was even able to sew into it and not compromise it, which is really cool. And it does have a little bit of stretch, like not a lot. Like you would be like two-way stretch tops, but it has some give and some stretch, so it makes it nice for some materials that need a little bit of give. But I made the waist for Tamatoa's skirt too big so that I could wrap around and snap it. And because I wanted to make it adjustable, since my weight fluctuates, I wanted to be able to be like, okay, well, if I lose a little bit of weight, I can add another snap on a little bit further in and just kind of move it over. So that was one reason why I did that. But yeah. Trying to think. So what I'll do is next week I will have the legs cut out, and I will try to have them made so that I can show you how I intend to attach them. But for Tamatoa, this is what I have left to make. I've made the gold coin skirt. Now I have to do the glitter skirt. And then I have to create a sleeve for the corset that I have. I have to create a bodysuit to go underneath all of this. And then I also need to create the armor for the arms. So the armor for the arms I'll do a little bit later this month in a stream. That's a little bit more complicated because this part's easy, like the upper arm, but the bottom has like a claw. And creating that curve while also covering it in spandex is a bit tricky. I've never done that before. So I hope Cosbond makes it easier for me. I tell you guys, I swear, like, Tamatoa is pushing the limits of my knowledge here. It's very difficult to do. Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be interesting. And I want to get it done by November 1st. So I just did too much research. But yeah, I've talked a lot. We have about like 8 minutes left. So if you guys have questions on anything, or you just want to comment and chat about something or whatever, you'd let me know. But just to keep you guys informed, I'm going to be on Cos Talk Live tomorrow, and we'll be talking to Momo Kurumi. And we're talking about, how you can take your cosplay skills and turn them into a professional career. And it's not specifically cosplay, like how you can literally take those skills and how they translate into the professional workforce. So we'll talk about that. I'm also planning on doing a special Halloween stream for you guys. So I will be posting a poll probably in the next week or two asking what costume you want to see me wear, and we'll just talk about spooky stories that I find interesting. So it really depends Mark asked if I sew a small pocket for the washer or if I just go bare bones and sew it onto the inside or outside of the fabric. If I'm competing in it, yes, I sew a small pocket and I make sure that I have a really strong magnet because the fabric can create slippage. So you'll want to make sure you have the larger neodymium magnets, and you want to have the thicker washers that have that have more real estate, more metal on them. That way the slippage between the fabrics doesn't cause problems. But if I'm not competing in it, or if it's in an area where I know no one, I'm like a judge is not going to reach here, like if it's on the boob area, they're not going to take my bra off, then I really don't care. So typically, yes, pay attention to the fabric. I suggest if you're going to sew a little pocket, I think it's cleaner, it's better, it hides where your attachment is, and it makes it look mysterious. But make sure you test it out first, because something like silk or spandex can sometimes create problems simply because they stretch or move, or like with silk, it's just so slippery that the magnet can slip. So if you're going to do that, then I suggest also having like another a hook and eye closure over the top of that, so you hook it and then it magnetizes, and that way you guarantee it won't fall off. But yeah, typically I do sew a little pocket to hide it, as long as the fabric permits. If the fabric doesn't permit, then it's bare bones, or I create that hook and then have the snap hidden in a pocket, so that I kind of have like a double attachment. Yeah, I think I answered that. I haven't finished my cup of coffee today, and I don't think I slept enough last night. But I got a haircut, so I got up early so that I could shave my head again. Yeah. there's a barber shop and they are willing to shave around my mask. So I wear my mask the whole time. They just kind of move my ear and go, and yes, I finally was able to get a haircut. I've been in my house too long, guys. I think I'm getting awkward. Or was I always this way? I don't know. Maybe I've always been this way. But yeah, I'll put a poll up for you guys to vote on what costume you'd like to see me wear on our Halloween special stream. And I will also put up, hopefully, I mean, I hope polls are working, because right now Facebook has some elements that have broken and they're not working. So if polls are back up, cool. If they're not, I'll just create one in a separate site and put it on Facebook so that I can start using polls again, because having voting is a lot better than just being like, hey, comment. It's easier to just click and go. But yeah, no problem. Using both Velcro and a magnet, or using so my top ones is double-sided Velcro, industrial Velcro, so on. I don't trust the sticky stuff unless I'm gonna pull off the sticky backing and use super glue or contact cement as well, because in Arizona that sticky stuff just doesn't work. You can also use the Cosbond. Cosbond does work in Arizona. I've tested it. I haven't had any problems. I've had no separation, so we're good. Thank you. I'm glad that I've always been this way, and it's sweet and endearing. I'm genuinely weird. Just gotta be myself and embrace it. But yeah, no, I like snaps too, or the hook and eye closures, like the really big hook and eye closures, where it's just like a piece of metal and then this big hook, and you just put it down, and obviously that alone isn't going to keep attached, because if you move or fling, it's just going to fly off. But then you have that and the magnet, and you have no problems. Or that, like a piece of Velcro on the magnet, because I like to do double attachments. Failure happens, so if you have a backup attachment, yeah. I don't like doing safety pins, though. I'm going to tell everybody, don't use safety pins. I know people who safety pin themselves into things, and it sounds painful for when things go wrong. Or maybe it's just because all of my costumes always end up being so heavy. Like my average costume, even like my simple costumes, usually weigh like 5 to 10 pounds, because I use really high quality fabrics from warehouses. Spandex World is a spandex warehouse that also sells more than just spandex, and the weight of their fabrics is impressive. It's great. I mean, it means that they're sturdy and they're not going to fall apart on you, because I've had fabrics from Joann's just turn to dust in my hand. Same thing from SAS, but Spandex World's just like, here you go. They're like the tanks of fabric. So, and I miss all of you guys. Like, thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, I think it was Dan 20 something. I don't know. It's okay. All I see is your usernames. So if you have an abnormal username, I will try to pronounce it. I can't promise anything. But thank you all for following this stream today. I know I wasn't quite as creative. I just kind of walked through a lot of supplies and what to do with them. But I promised to submit more work in progress photos. Actually, I set a goal for myself to post one set of work in progress photos every day, either on Facebook or Instagram, this entire month. That is my challenge. My October challenge isn't Ink October or scary. My October challenge is get creative again, other than like random spurts, like create. So I will be doing that, and I will be posting work in progress every day this month. I must. It's my challenge. So yeah, okay, so we're just gonna wrap it up. Make things simple. Tomorrow, 12 p.m., Cos Talk Live, Momo Kurumi, talking about how you can use your cosplay skills in the professional workforce. Next week, I will be going through, I'll go through Tamatoa's legs and the skirt. So I'll have the purple skirt done, and I'll have his legs made, and then I'll start sculpting the coins that the legs are going to attach to. So I'll sculpt the coins while I'm here talking to you guys, and then I'll explain how I'm going to create a mold for it. Or maybe I'll sculpt it in advance. I'll put a vote whether I should have it sculpted in advance and show you guys how to create a mold, because I have stuff to create a mold, or if you'd rather see me sculpt it and then do the mold separately, because the mold does take time. It takes like 3.5, 4 hours for the quick set rubber to dry. Yeah, quick set rubber still isn't very quick set. So I'll put that up to vote. But yeah, I plan on having the skirt and the legs done so I can show you guys how I intend to attach it. But yeah, thank you all for joining me today. This has been wonderful, and I will see you every day this month in a work in progress, I promise. So you have a wonderful weekend, enjoy yourselves, and stay safe, wear masks, stay alive. I want to see you all again one day, okay? I need to see all of you. Thank you again for watching, and have a wonderful weekend. What?